Child and Clementine were solo. What pre-dinner drink consists of Campari, red vermouth and a splash of soda? Mexicano. The mountain biscacho is a rodent native. Using every method to get what you want us to use, every trick in a what? Book, universe. Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham. Which boy band had a #1 single with their cover of A Little Bit More, 911, Blue, Westlife? Which of these is a crunchy, white, bulb-like stem used in Chinese cuisine? Water chestnut, water acorn, water hazel. Which of these are small blood vessels in the body? Which of these sportsmen named all 5 of his sons? Which of these film stars was married the most time? Which of these Disney characters never says a word? Goofy, Dumbo, Shere Khan. In a chicken katsu curry, the chicken is coated in what? Sesame seeds, breadcrumbs, cheese. In the human body, which of these is not a cranial nerve? Which of these has won the most? Which of these is the name of a city in eastern France? Hillary, Nancy, Michelle. Which king was nicknamed the Lionheart, Henry? Which of these cocktails does not contain rum? Mai Tai, Manhattan, Cuba Libre. In Hawaii, the local word kahuna. Which of these singing voices is the highest? What parts of the body are the cause of cramp? Which of these mountain ranges is closest to the Andes? A portmanteau is a type of what accessory? Hat, shoe, bag. Which of these films is the most recent? Where did the Great Fire of London break out in 1666? Which of these was an impressionist artist? Which of these moons of Jupiter was discovered by Galileo? Which of these seeds is a key ingredient in garam masala? The Rubbles lived next door to it TV family, the Partridge family, the Simpsons, the Flintstones. Frank Sinatra was buried with a bottle of what? Cologne. What's 11 multiplied by itself? Where does the vegetable samphire usually grow? Where does the What is unusual about the West End musical, Showstopper? What is unusual? The Roman Colosseum was built on the site of Nero's what? What is the medical term for indigestion? A metronome is a useful tool in what field of the arts? Who played the baker in the film musical, In the Woods? Who played the baker in the film musical Into the Woods? Russell Brand, Ricky Gervais, James Corden. Penholder and shakehand are grips used in which sport? Sothorios is a fictional land created by which author? Sothorios is the world leader of the Salvation Army holds what title? In Indian cookery, the word garam means what? In nature, what is a shagbark hickory? Which sport does the game of rounders most closely resemble? In which series does Brian Cox play patriarch Logan Roy? What is Britney Spears' middle name? What is Britney Spears' middle name? Jean, Jane, Joan. In the book by Dr. Seuss, what color eggs go with ham? Lugano and Locarno are resorts in what European country? Lugano and James Galway is nicknamed the man with the golden what? In poker, what is a California prayer book? Agraphia is an inability to do what? The word lugs is a term for which part of the body? Michelangelo's fresco. The world's first vegetarian society was founded in Britain in which century? Which of these music groups found fame as an all-female band? The Pretenders, The Go-Go's, Blondie. What character is the star of the kids' book Peppa's Spooky Halloween, Peppa Pig, Fireman Sam, Postman Pat? In a French bathroom or kitchen, what letter would you find on the The young of which of these animals is not called a calf? Which of these means difficult? Brahman is another name for what breed of cattle? Which of these is not allowed in a game? What sort of work is Beethoven? Which of these US states? Which of these films? Which of these? Which of these is? Which of these? What country? Which of these? What royal title is sometimes abbreviated? Which of these is another word for a male sheep? What type of Which band's members were recruited with an ad reading? The title character of Whit Dickens' book becomes a teacher at Dotheboys Hall. To launch the 2018 Invictus Games. The app Meow Talk aims to translate the sounds made by what animals? Sheep, cats, cows. Which of these is a line from The Sound of Music song, My Favorite Things? Which company calls May 20th, 1873 the birthday of blue jeans? Lee, Wrangler, Levi Strauss. In what country is a holiday camp for horse riding called a Dude Ranch? In 2012, the cast of Geordie Shore launched a fragrance that smelled of what? Burgers, bags, fried chicken. Chlorosis is the loss of the normal green coloration of what parts of a plant? Petals, roots, leaves. In 1837, Queen Victoria allowed her likeness to be fashioned in wax by what museum? On St. Andrew's Day, girls who wish to marry traditionally peel what fruit? At what Olympics did the Scottish sprinter Alan Wells win the men's 100 metres? By definition, the word nepotism means to show favoritism to a specific group of people. What would you find in the periodic table? Planets and stars, dog breeds, chemical elements. Kylie had a hit in 1989 with Hand on Your What? Heart, head, mouth. In the Bible, what relation was Abraham to Jacob? In Roman mythology, Mercury is the winged what? What does the word sheesh mean in sheesh kebab? What is the French word for black? Up to and including 2024, how many times have Brazil won the World Cup? What is 199 in Roman numerals? Which 20th century Prime Minister had the first name Neville? Which female writer appeared on the back of a £10 note? Jane Austen. Who was the French actress who starred in Jean-Luc Godard's Breathless? What's the plural of matrix? Which European city might you explore by gondola? Historically, caliphs have been the rulers of which people? In geometry, what name is given to a parallelogram with sides of equal length? Who originally wrote about cats that were turned into a West End musical? Jamie Dornan stars in the TV drama The Tourist set in which country? Pan Am was once the principal airline operating from which country? Hanoi is the capital of which Asian country? In July 1923, a British law was passed banning the sale of alcohol to who? What is the term for 6 children in one multiple birth? Chinese gooseberries is an alternative name for which fruit? Which features on golf shoes also known as cleats? What was the first name of the artist Gauguin? Found on the American-Canadian border, which is the largest of the Great Lakes? Which party did Barack Obama represent in the 2008 US presidential election? What is the name of the pigment responsible for tanning in the skin? Which motor manufacturer dominated the Le Mans race in the noughties?